Let's be honest. Your bank account is screaming for a checkup. Here is the cold, hard truth about the average person's money. Let's be honest.
Ever kind of wondered how your own finances stack up against, well, everyone else? Today, we're going to do just that. Think of it as a financial health checkup, where we look at the real, hard numbers for the average person. Now, fair warning, some of these stats might be a bit of a wake-up call. But stick with me, because by the end, you'll have a super clear picture of where things stand. Let's get into it. So, let me just ask you straight up. How do you think your finances stack up? It's a tough question, right? I mean, we see our friends' amazing vacations and their new cars all over social media, but we almost never see the real story behind the curtain. Understanding what's truly normal is the very first step to making smarter moves with your own money.
Okay, so to get our bearings, we're going to start by looking at what I like to call the core financial vitals of the average person. You know, just like at a doctor's office. These next few numbers, income, spending, debt, they're the absolute essentials. This is the baseline we're all working with. First up, let's talk about income. Now, it's really important to know this isn't the average, it's the median individual income for someone working full-time. That's about $52,000 a year. And median just means it's the dead center. Half of all full-time workers earn more and half earn less. It's the true middle of the pack. And remember, that's before Uncle Sam takes his cut.
Okay, so if the median person makes $52,000, how much does the average household spend? $67,000 a year. Whoa! Just let that sink in for a second. Right away, you can see the problem, right? This creates a huge financial puzzle. For a household to actually save or invest anything at all, they have to be earning a lot more than this.
And you have to wonder, where does some of that spending pressure come from? Well, a big part of it is debt. The average household is carrying over $9,000 in high-interest credit card debt. And we're not talking about a mortgage or a car loan here. This is $9,000, probably with interest rates over 20%, just bleeding money every single month. It's an incredible financial drain.
So where is all this money actually going? This chart breaks it all down for us. Housing, no surprise, takes the biggest bite at nearly $1,900 a month. Then you add over $900 for transportation and almost $700 for food, and bam, you're already at $3,500. Just those three categories are eating up a massive piece of the pie, leaving very, very little room for anything else.
And all that day-to-day financial pressure, it has a huge long-term consequence. And that brings us to what might be the most important and honestly the scariest part of this whole checkup, the retirement picture for the average person. And I'm not going to lie, it's pretty grim.
So check out this first statistic. It's just shocking. 25%. That's 1 out of every 4 Americans with $0 saved for retirement. Nothing. Zilch. That means they're planning to rely 100% on Social Security when they stop working. And that, well, that's a massive gamble to take.
So what about the folks who are saving? Well, for people 65 and older, the median retirement savings is about $88,000. Now, at first glance, you might think, okay, 88 grand, that sounds like a decent chunk of change, right? But let's just pause here for a second and really think about that. $88,000 in the bank when you retire. What can you actually live on with that? How much cash does that actually put in your pocket each month?
And here it is, the stark, cold reality. If you use the standard 4% withdrawal rule, and this is a guideline financial planners have used for decades, that $88,000 provides less than $300 a month. $300 a month. I mean, could you live on that? For most people, that wouldn't even cover groceries for the month. It's just, wow.
And the problem gets even worse when you look at the timing of it all. See, the average person retires around age 61. But here's the catch. Most people can't get their full Social Security benefits until they hit 67. That creates this 6-year funding gap that they have to cover somehow, usually with those very, very limited savings we just talked about.
Okay, I know. After all of that, you might be feeling a little worried. I get it. But here's where we pivot. Because once you understand what average actually looks like, it becomes crystal clear how to do better. And here's the crucial point. The bar to beat is actually set surprisingly low.
So what exactly is that bar? Well, on average, Americans save only 6% of their after-tax income. Just 6%. That's it. So, if you really want to get ahead of the pack, the single most powerful thing you can do is just save more than that.
You know, beating the average doesn't require some secret formula or winning the lottery. It's just about being intentional. And the steps are actually really simple. 1. Save more than that 6% baseline. 2. Get rid of that high-interest debt, especially that killer credit card balance. And 3. Invest your savings and do it consistently. It really is that straightforward.
You see, this whole thing really boils down to one simple idea. Now that you know these numbers, you have the power to make a conscious decision, a choice about which financial path you actually want to be on, the path of the average or a different one.
This quote from our source material really just says it all. These statistics show us where the average person ends up, but they don't have to define where you end up. These numbers, they aren't your destiny. They're just a data point. You have all the power to create a totally different outcome for yourself.
So we'll leave you with this final thought. When you really look at the debt, the tiny savings rate, and a retirement that's supposed to be funded by just $300 a month, it's pretty clear. Average just isn't working. So the real question isn't where you stand today. It's, now that you know the numbers, what are you going to do differently?